We got new Planar sets and new relic sets in version 2.3 of Honkai Star Rail. Should you farm them or is it a Trailblaze power waste? In this video we're just gonna review them and see on which characters they're gonna excel, and hopefully you'll know should you farm or not. Alright, so starting off with the relic sets first, starting off with the first relic set, it's gonna be the Iron Cavalry against the Scourge. The 2-piece set is just gonna increase your break effects by 16%. And then for the 4-piece, whenever you have more than 150% break effect, when you deal break damage to them, it's gonna ignore 10% of the enemy's defense, which is super huge. We rarely see that on any sets like the defense ignore, so this is pretty good. And then also when the warrior's break effect is 250% or higher, the super break damage you deal is gonna additionally ignore 15% of the target's defense. So on top of the previous 10% defense ignore, it's also gonna ignore another 15% when you deal super break damage. Not the normal break damage, only super break damage. So for your break damage, you're gonna ignore 10% defense, and for super break damage, you're gonna ignore 25% of defense. Now obviously this set is gonna be super good for break characters in general, and characters who are played in super break teams specifically, because it's just gonna increase their break effects, and then it's gonna give them a lot of defense ignore, which is super good. At 25% defense ignore to the super break damage is no joke. So yeah, for the characters who can use this set, the first and obvious one is gonna be Firefly. Obviously she's just gonna be a great character. You can be building a lot of break effects on her. That's pretty much the only thing you're gonna need to build. So she's definitely gonna pass the 250% mark. And also she's gonna be dealing her own super break effects damage, or you can even play her with the Harmony Trailblazer, so it's gonna be easier. But yeah, this is definitely her best set. It's her signature set pretty much. Her break damage is gonna be buffs, and also her super break damage is also gonna be buffs. And you're getting some break effects from the 2-piece, which is also pretty good. So yeah, this is the obvious character who can fully utilize this set. Another character who can kind of use it is gonna be Boothill. He's able to use the break effects from the 2-piece and also the 10% defense ignore to the break effects. But then also if you play him with the Harmony MC, he's also going to be able to take advantage out of the super break damage. So with the Harmony Trailblazer, he's going to be able to take full advantage out of this set too, and it's definitely going to be his best in slot set. It is for sure going to be better than like D50 Shoot Meteor or anything like that. Even some defense ignore sets like the Quantum set, this set is probably going to be much better because it's just going to give you much more defense ignore, and it's much less restricted, and also the 2-piece is just better. So this is definitely going to be Boothill's best in slot set too. Those are mainly going to be the 2 characters who can use this set fully at least, or like say the obvious characters at least. But there are definitely going to be many more characters who can use this set. Pretty much any character who's going to be played as a damage dealer in the super break team can use this set, where you're going to be building that break effects on them, and also they're going to be played with the Harmony Trailblazer. So you can have characters like Luca, for example, Sampo, Shuei. All of these characters can work with this set. I'm not sure if it's going to be their best in slot or not. I would assume so, but yeah, it's just going to help them out with that break effects if you're building it on them, and then that defense ignore for the super break damage, and the break damage is going to be super valuable. So yeah, again, any character who's going to be played in super break teams, this set is going to be pretty good on them. Those are pretty much the only uses for this set. Pretty much a character who needs that break effects, because this set only activates when you have certain amounts of break effects on them, so you need to build the break effects on them, and then they deal break damage, so they're going to benefit from the defense ignore. That's it. Any character who meets these requirements, this set is going to be probably their best in slot. For now, these are the 5 characters I can think of. Tell me more in the comments, but in the future I'm pretty sure we're going to see more characters who can benefit from it. The second relic set is going to be the Wind-Soaring Valorous. The 2-piece is just going to increase your attack by 12%, just a normal 2-piece attack increase. But then the 4-piece is going to give you a flat 6% crit rate increase without needing to do anything. And then when the warrior uses follow-up attacks, it's going to increase the damage dealt by their ultimate by 36% for 1 turn. So the wearer of this set needs to deal a follow-up attack for their ultimate's damage to be increased. As you guys can see, the effects lasts for only 1 turn, so the uptime might be tricky. They need to be dealing like follow-up attacks consistently for them to have the effects when they have their ultimate ready. But other than that, it's a pretty simple set. Just attack, crit rate, and then elemental damage bonus if you can trigger follow-up attacks. That's it. So which characters are going to benefit the most from this set? Obviously it's characters who can first deal follow-up attacks to even trigger this set, and then characters who deal a lot of damage from their ultimates, because if they don't, then there's no point. The main feature of this set is the damage bonus it's going to give to your ultimate. First character and obvious one you have for that that is going to be Jade. She's going to be able to do her follow-up attacks, and then her ultimate is going to deal a lot of damage, especially when it's like against multiple enemies. So using this set to buff this ultimate by 36% damage bonus is going to be pretty good. So yeah, Jade is probably going to be the best user for this set. Obviously, she's also going to benefit from the attack and also the crit rate. So yeah, Jade is probably the best user. Another two characters who I can think of are going to be like Himiko and Yangqing. Both of them can deal follow-up attacks and then also have decent damage on their ultimates, especially for Yangqing. So they're probably going to be able to use this set pretty good, and it's probably going to be a very competitive for their best set. I think it's the best. I haven't really done any calculations, especially for Yangqing. I'm pretty confident it's going to be his best set. For Himiko, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be like a top set for her. And also, I think Herda too can probably use this set. Again, I'm pretty sure it's going to be pretty good, but I'm not very sure if it's going to be like the best set. Other than that, I can't really think of any other characters. I mean, most characters we have, like Dr. Ratio, for example, his ultimate is not really going to be a big part of his damage, and it's probably not going to be better than something like the Pioneer, for example, and stuff like that. Also, the buff uptime is going to be a problem, even for the characters I listed below. I'm pretty sure you're going to face some problems with like getting the effect ready for your ultimate as soon as you get your ultimate ready, because sometimes you're not going to be able to like use a follow-up attack and stuff like that. It's going to be kind of inconsistent. So yeah, I wouldn't really recommend using it outside of these characters. The rest of the characters I don't think it's going to be worth it, because their ultimates are not really going to be like a huge part of their damage. So this set is not really going to matter as much for like Dr. Ratio or whatever, or Topaz. I mean, Topaz doesn't even really deal damage with their ultimate, so this set is going to be kind of useless. So yeah, that set is mainly for Jade for right now, at least in my opinion, and a couple of other characters can also use it. Now moving on to the Planar sets from the new Stimulated Universe. First of all, we have the Duran, Dynasty of Rounded Wolves. This set is just that when allies use follow-up attacks, it's going to give you one stack. Each stack is just going to increase the damage dealt by your follow-up attacks by 5%, so it's a total of 25% follow-up attack damage bonus. And then when you have the full 5 stacks, it's just going to increase your crit damage by 25%. Oh, and also it's going to trigger when allies also use follow-up attacks. I mean, they say it's when allies use follow-up attacks. I assume by allies, they also mean the character wearing this set too, because if not, it's going to be kind of a problem, but I'm pretty sure it is. So like if you're wearing this on Dr. Ratio, his follow-up attacks are probably going to be able to build stacks for you too, not only the allies attacks. But yeah, this set can give you a total of 25% follow-up attack damage bonus and a 25% crit damage. The characters who can use it are like follow-up attackers, obviously, but preferably follow-up attackers is also used with other follow-up attackers, so you can build stacks much faster. So you have like Dr. Ratio, Jade, whatever. It's just gonna buff their follow-up attacks and then also buff their crit damage. I'm not gonna go through it for all of the characters, but I think a direct competitor for this set is gonna be the Salsodo. The Salsodo is just gonna increase your crit rate by 8%, and then when you have above 50% crit rate, which is for most characters, your ultimate and follow-up attacks damage is gonna be increased by 15%. So it's also gonna buff your ultimate, but the damage bonus as a whole is gonna be less than the Duran. So they're gonna be pretty comparable. I think they're gonna be very close in most scenarios. It just heavily depends on like which character and which type of crit you need, either crit rate or crit damage on them. So if your character scales more with like crit rate, like Dr. Ratio, then the Duran is probably gonna be better, but just for the build. If you have like your build on point already, then it's probably not gonna make much of a difference. But yeah, they're gonna be very comparable in damage. So if you already have a Salsodo set, I wouldn't really recommend farming this. The Salsodo is just gonna buff both your follow-up attacks and ultimate. This set is just gonna buff your follow-up attacks more and then some extra crit damage instead of crit rate. But it's also not gonna buff your ultimate like the Salsodo. So yeah, it's pretty much just like different stuff, same thing. Depends on the character, so there might see like a 1-2% damage difference, but in general it's pretty comparable, so I wouldn't really say it's a new thing at all. Also, it might be a little harder for some characters to build stacks like fast enough, so it has like worse uptime than the Salsodo. Salsodo has like full uptime as long as you have enough crit. Now moving on to the last Planar set we have for today, the Forge of the Kalpagni Lantern. The 2-piece is just going to increase your speed by 6%. I think that's the first Planar set that's going to increase your speed. And then when the wearer hits enemy targets with fire weaknesses, the wearer's break effect is going to be increased by 40% for 1 turn. Obviously, it can have full uptime, so, you know, as long as you have enemies with fire weaknesses, when you hit them, every time you hit them, your break effect is going to be increased. You can hit them with any attack and it's going to trigger. Obviously, this set is going to work best for characters characters who need break effect too. The speed bonus is always appreciated on pretty much any character, so yeah. But to trigger the bonus, you're gonna have to hit an enemy with a fire weakness. So if you're not up against enemies with fire weaknesses, then this set is just not gonna trigger, which is kind of too specific in my opinion. Now you can fix that with something like Silverwolf, for example. That's gonna be very possible. So if you bring Silverwolf, which is, you know, not a crazy idea, a lot of times you might do that with like Firefly or something like that. If you bring her, then you can just fix this problem very easily, and you can just use this set pretty comfortably anywhere. But if not, it's gonna be kind of limited. Just depends on which enemy you go up against, which is, you know, kind of a problem. I don't really like that. It'll be like switching gears and stuff like that, depending on what enemies you're gonna face. Either way, in like perfect scenarios, it's gonna be pretty good. 40% break effects increase is just gonna be huge. So if you're using this on like Firefly, for example, or Gallagher, or any fire character in general that needs break effects, that's gonna be pretty good. It can also be used on non-fire characters as long as you are going against enemies with fire weaknesses. So a non-fire character who needs break effects can use this set, even though I'm not really sure what's gonna be going on there, because if they're a break character, then you'd want to break, and if the enemies are fire weak, then, you know, so yeah, it's kind of hard. But let's say the enemy is weak to that character's elements and then also fire, you can use this set and it's gonna be pretty good. Also, you can compare this set directly to the Talia. The Talia is just gonna give you 36% extra break effects as long as you have 145 or higher speed. That's kind of more achievable in my opinion, and you can just slap this set on any character and it doesn't really depend on which enemies you're facing. So in my opinion, the Talia is going to be less restrictive. Obviously the Forge's damage bonus is going to be better, more 4% break effect. It's kind of whatever, but it's still better, and also the extra speed. So in theory it's going to be better if it works fully, but the Talia is definitely going to be a comparable option with kind of less headache in my opinion. So yeah, keep that in mind. But in general, for the set characters that can use this set like pretty comfortably, they're going to be mainly Gallagher and Firefly, and that's it. They're both fire characters. You'd usually just want to bring them against enemies weak to fire, and they're both going to need break effects, and a 40% break effects increase is going to be pretty good on both of them, and also some speed increase, which is pretty decent. Alright, so now for the final conclusion, should you farm or not? So starting off with the relic domain, I think you should farm only for the Iron Cavalry, the break set, if you have Boot Hill or you're going for Firefly, or the rest of the break effects characters. I think that set is going to be super good. It's going to be kind of a huge jump for break characters in general, or super break characters specifically, which is pretty easy with the Harmony Trailblazers, so you can just make any character a super break character, and this set is going to be pretty good. I would recommend farming in this domain only for this set. The second set, the follow-up attack set, is gonna be kind of meh, just maybe for Jade and a couple other characters, and that's it. But the first break set, if you're planning to build a break team, then I would definitely recommend just farming it. I think it's pretty good, and it's probably gonna be much better than any other set. The defense ignore is gonna be pretty valuable, and usually it's a very rare stat to find. So if you're able to get 25% defense ignore on your break characters, that's gonna be super good. So yeah, I'd say the domain is worth it only for the break set. Now for the stimulated universe or the Planar sets, the first follow-up attack set, I wouldn't really say it's worth farming unless you don't have like a Salsodo set. In that case, maybe this set is going to be worth farming. They're pretty much going to be the same thing in general, so if you don't already have a Salsodo set, you can farm this set or farm the Salsodo, whatever, for follow-up attackers. And for the second set, the break set, it's only good for Firefly pretty much, and Gallagher, but it's not really worth farming this whole domain for Gallagher. So I would say you probably should farm this set if you don't have a Salsodo set for the first set, or for just Firefly, that's it. For Firefly, it's going to be a huge upgrade. That 40% break effects increase is going to be pretty good. Also the speed increase, so it's obviously going to be a little better than something like the Talia, for example, or something like that. But for any other character, I wouldn't really say it's worth it. Especially the Talia is just going to be much more consistent. You just have to get enough speed and that's it. For this set, you're just going to have to go like against fire weak enemies and stuff like that, which is kind of a long thing. So yeah, for the stimulated universe, I'd say if you're going for Firefly, then farm it. If not, it's probably a skip, because there are alternatives for both these two sets and they're just less restrictive. But yeah, that was the video guys. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel. See you guys next video. Peace.